Good morning. We've now been joined by Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 Jimmy John's Budweiser Chevrolet. And Kevin comes into Auto Club Speedway this weekend, winning the 2 previous races at Las Vegas and at Phoenix last week. And Kevin, coming to a track that you already have a win at in 2011, talk a little bit about the team's mindset and the goal to potentially win all 3 West Coast races.
Well, I think our mindset right now is just to, to keep doing the same things that we've been doing. At Monday morning it was time to prepare for California Speedway, and I know, everybody kind of wants to redeem themselves after last year. We ran really well and had 2 or 3 flat tires, and things didn't finish well, but it was a great performance for us all in all, and hopefully this year we can continue to do the things that we're doing, but really just business as usual as we go into practice and qualifying today.
We will take questions for Kevin. Please state your name and affiliation, and we'll start up front with Woody.
Woody Kane with MRN. Kevin, this used to be considered such a southern regional sport, but now so many of you guys have come out of California. Can you just kind of describe what the culture was like racing-wise here when you and some of the other guys came up, and how that maybe led to what we've got now?
Well, I think when you look at California, it's kind of there's a lot of racetracks in California up and down the coast, and a lot of whether it be asphalt, dirt tracks, go-kart tracks. There's a well-supported community of racing up and down the state of California, even into Washington and Oregon. So, as I was coming up, there was the Southwest Tour, Winston West Series, and the trucks raced on the West Coast a lot. But there was also, a fairly good following of late models, and obviously things have slowed down from what they used to be, but there's still, Irwindale, we have the Kern County Raceway in this particular area. So there's definitely a lot of racing, and I think when you look at, way back in the day, it was mostly a southeastern sport, and I think as Jeff Gordon was obviously somewhat responsible for being able to allow guys like myself and pave the way for us to have a path, at least to have an opportunity to come and race in NASCAR. So it's always been a well-supported racing area, and I was fortunate to grow up in Bakersfield, California, which is a very well-supported racing town no matter what you race. So there's a lot of racing. It just took a while for everybody to figure that out.
All right, Wolfgang, go ahead.
Wolfgang Monser from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. Kevin, now with the new rules, especially with less horsepower than last year, the Sprint Cup cars, how's the behavior? Is it much different than last year?
There's definitely some differences when you look at the setups and the things that we're doing in the car, but they're not as drastic as you would think with the amount of less horsepower. I think that especially at the bigger tracks, I think you'll see less difference in things that are going on with the setups of the car, just for the fact I think the short tracks are where you're going to notice the rearing gear being having a lot less RPM, such as Phoenix and Martinsville, Loudon, those types of places where you aren't going to have the acceleration like you used to have. But these bigger tracks, you have a little more throttle time, a lot of the same driving styles that you had from last year, just more throttle time.
All right, Lewis, go ahead.
Yes, Louis Frank of Reuters. Is it a double-edged sword to be such a strong favorite coming here? I mean, if you win, they say you got to win. And if you don't win, they say, well, he's done.
Well, I think it's better to be on the side of, I think we'd rather have that pressure of trying to do good, because we're going to put that pressure on ourselves anyway, and having everybody expect you to do good is great, but in the end we're going to put that pressure on ourselves anyway. We want to perform and do well for the guys on our team and everybody at SHR. So it's really no different. I know that doesn't sound right, and I know that we've been fortunate to have some early season success, but it really doesn't change anything that we do leading into this week's race.
All right, we'll go to Chris and then Jeff. Go ahead, Chris.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Kevin, do you and Rodney consider yourselves bulletproof compared to the other teams in the garage area?
I don't know that you're ever bulletproof. That's for sure. You're never bulletproof, just for the fact that there's so many things that can go wrong in a race, and the circumstances are, they're hard to get everything to line up just to win a race. So, to be able to be a part of everything that we've been able to accomplish over the last little bit. Has we've been fortunate to have good luck on our side. We've been fortunate to have fast race cars and have a lot of things line up for us. So at any given moment, you could start having the bad luck like we had at the beginning of last year. But you're never, in life in general, you're never bulletproof. And about the time you start thinking that, there'll be, I always tell people the karma train will come run you over. So it's you just keep your head down and try to continue working. I think we work harder in times like this just for the fact that you don't want to let your guard down and have things start to go wrong.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Jamie McMurray had this huge year in 2010, and then the Ganassi cars kind of dropped off. And last year they were a little bit better, and recently he's finished 11th and 2nd. Do you view him at all as a guy that's coming up into the top level where you guys are, and a competitor that you might have to deal with for the chase?
Well, I think Jamie has obviously run well this year and won a lot of the big races. So it's not like that that they can't do that or can't have things line up. So I think as you look at Jamie and Kyle, really, I think they've both run well, and I think Jamie has the experience to to do what he needs to do. So Felix already guaranteed that they were going to make the chase. So that's a good thing. I think they're running well enough to do that too.
John, go ahead.
John Helsler, NASCAR Productions. This is a preview question from Martinsville. You kind of touched on the acceleration, how it might be a little different.
When is Martinsville? Next week. Okay.
Yes, that's right. You touched on how the acceleration might be a little different at short tracks this year. With that in mind, how are you and your team preparing for that race?
I don't know. We haven't even prepared for this one yet. So, and to be dead honest with you, Monday morning you'll have all the the kind of the rough setup stuff done from the engineers and the people in the shop, but we really won't even start worrying about Martinsville until we at least get done with this one. So it's definitely going to be different though, just for the fact that you're not going to have that acceleration. It's going to be more like a truck series race, I guess you could say, in the way that you have to carry the momentum through the center of the corner and be able to to carry that momentum with the car turning and be back in the throttle. So it'll be interesting to see if it's harder to pass or not, but there's a good possibility that it will be.
All right, go ahead.
CarsandCompetition.com, Kay Presto. I don't know if this has been asked. Kevin, will you be having any problem with the seams in this particular track this weekend?
No, we love the seams. Yeah, if you hit them wrong, it definitely messes up the direction that the car is going, but it's also can be a huge help to you as well. So you look at those seams and you look at the amount of grip that's on one side or the other of them, but they're definitely slippery, and you definitely have to keep them in mind. But I think everybody knows when you come here that you're going to have to deal with them.
Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. We just got done with a news conference in which they announced that Brian Vickers would not be in the car because he has clotting issues again. And I wonder if you can ever think of a time when you haven't been able to be in the car, had to sit out, and his undying drive to be a race car driver, to be able to be in the car and racing despite health issues, from your perspective.
Yeah, well, the first thing is it's just it's a very, very tough situation, because I think as you look at all the things that he's gone through, and really especially the last one with the surgery and everything that he went through, and thinking that everything was just fixed and going to be okay, and then you come back and it's kind of like the same old thing all over again. So the first thing is I feel bad for Brian, because he does have that drive and determination to be in the car, and he's been through a lot to try to get everything fixed, but it just seems like it keeps creeping back up. So it's just a really, really unfortunate situation.
Have you ever not been able to be in the car when you were younger, or had to sit out?
Only when I didn't get a 3.0 on my report card.
How old were you?
I was probably about 10.
How bad was that?
I had to sit out a whole quarter.
How was it?
It wasn't very good. I never got bad grades again. So.
Okay, go ahead.
Jim Alexander from the Press Enterprise in Riverside. You've been coming out here for a long time. You're a California guy, so you've kind of understood over the years some of the issues that this track has had in terms of attendance. Now that there's one race here a year, talk about what the atmosphere has been the last few years, and how the crowds have gotten better, and what the driver's perception is of the way things are maybe turning around here at this track.
Well, I think this racetrack is a great example of, of a lot of lessons that a lot of people obviously don't pay attention to that run racetracks. Sometimes if you take one really great thing and you can really easily make them into two mediocres, and we do that all the time in our sport. And I don't understand that with racetracks a lot of the time, but this one has come full circle. And I think when you look at the crowds that we've had over the last couple of years, they've been really good. The racing has been really good here as the track surface has aged. And as a driver, you look forward to coming here now because it's one of those racetracks where you can run all over the place and the car is going to slide around and you're going to have fun from the driver's seat. So, and that bleeds over into the perception that the fans get as well, because everybody is talking about enjoying racing on this particular track, and I think some markets are they're one race markets, and I would say 90% of them are one race markets, but a lot of them still have two races, and you just see those mediocre crowds, and I think when people know that you're only coming one time a year, you have to go to that one particular race, and having a race with a good date is obviously good for the weather and the people to come out and enjoy it. It's not 115 degrees in August, which was always fun to be a part of in the race car, but I think all in all it's all come full circle, and I think everything's going good for this particular track.
Any additional questions for Kevin? Okay, we'll come back up front for one follow-up from Lewis.
Louis Franco, Reuters. About a year ago, we were probably asking you, how are you and Rodney getting along? Does it seem like how is it now?
Yeah, it's really, we really know a lot more about each other, and I think as you look at the team, we've obviously worked through a lot of issues, whether it be mechanical issues or team. The personnel has been the same, but I think when you look at the team, they're just a lot more confident, obviously, in what they do, and understand that we can do what we need to do to win races and be competitive on a weekly basis. So everybody's a lot more comfortable. I think it was pretty tense, especially this time of the year last year, because we went out and were able to win Phoenix and then had problem after problem after problem, but I really still believe that built a lot of the character of the team and really allowed us to become closer as a team to communicate and work through those problems, and that paid off for us as we got towards the second half of the year. So, this is a special group of guys that really gets along on and off the racetrack and are all here for the same reasons. They all want to be a part of this team and work with Rodney and myself and be at Stewart-Haas Racing. So when you have everything line up like that, it's pretty rare, and I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
Kevin, we appreciate your time this morning. We wish you best of luck this weekend.